I found the diary on a Tuesday. Not by accident. Let me be clear about that from the start. I went looking for it. My daughter Emma had been acting different for months, distant, cold, looking at me like I was a stranger in my own house. She was 16. I told myself it was normal teenage stuff. Hormones. School drama. The usual. But something felt wrong. Sarah, my wife, had been different too. More protective of Emma. Whispering conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. Little glances between them that I wasn't meant to see. I felt like the punchline to a joke I didn't understand. So that Tuesday, when both of them were out, Emma at volleyball practice, Sarah at her book club, I did something I swore I'd never do. I went into Emma's room. The diary was purple, hidden under her mattress like some cliché from a bad movie. My hands shook as I pulled it out. I knew this was wrong. I knew I was crossing a line that good fathers don't cross. But I couldn't stop myself. I needed to know why my daughter looked at me with something that felt like pity. I sat on her bed, opened to a random page, and started reading. Mom told me the truth when I was 13. I wish she hadn't. My heart stopped. I flipped back, looking for context, my eyes scanning frantically across her teenage handwriting. It's been 3 years since I found out that Dad, that Mark, isn't my real father. 3 years of pretending everything is normal. 3 years of watching him be so proud of me at my games, at parent-teacher conferences, at every stupid achievement, and feeling like a liar. The room started spinning. I kept reading. I had to. Mom made me promise not to tell him. She cried when she told me. Said it would destroy him. Said he loved me so much and that he was my real dad in every way that mattered. But he's not. My real father is someone named David Chan. Mom had an affair before I was born. She broke it off and never told anyone. David Chan. The name hit me like a fist to the stomach. David Chan. Sarah's coworker from 18 years ago. The guy she'd trained with at her old job. The guy who'd moved to California before Emma was born. The guy she'd mentioned exactly twice in 17 years and I'd never thought about again. I thought I was going to throw up. Sometimes I look at Dad and I feel so guilty. He doesn't know. He has no idea that every time he tells someone she has my eyes or she gets her stubbornness from me, it's all based on a lie. Mom's lie. And now my lie too. I don't remember how long I sat there. Minutes. Hours. Time stopped meaning anything. 17 years. 17 years of midnight feedings and first steps and scraped knees and homework, helping daddy-daughter dances and teaching her to ride a bike and being there for every single moment of her life. None of it real. All of it built on a lie. I heard the garage door opening. They were home. I shoved the diary back under the mattress, my hands trembling so badly I could barely grip it. I made it to the hallway just as they came through the front door. "Hey, babe," Sarah called out, her voice so normal, so cheerful, like she hadn't been lying to me for almost 2 decades. "We brought pizza." Emma walked past me without meeting my eyes, like she'd been doing for months. Now I knew why. "Great," I heard myself say. My voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. "I'll grab plates." We ate dinner like a normal family. Sarah talked about her book club. Emma scrolled through her phone. I chewed pizza that tasted like cardboard and watched them. Really watched them for the first time in months. Every smile was a lie. Every casual touch. Every "I love you" that Sarah threw out so easily. All lies. "You okay, Mark?" Sarah asked, touching my hand. "You seem quiet." The concern in her eyes looked so genuine. She was good at this. She'd had 17 years of practice. "Just tired," I said. Emma glanced up at me, then quickly away. She knew I was lying. She'd learned from the best. That night, Sarah fell asleep next to me like always, her breathing steady and peaceful. I stared at the ceiling and did the math over and over in my head, even though I already knew the answer. Emma had been born 9 months after that work conference Sarah went to. The one in Seattle. The one she came home from looking tired and distracted, claiming it had been stressful. She'd come home pregnant with another man's child and let me believe it was mine. For 17 years. I got out of bed at 3 a.m. and went to the bathroom, staring at myself in the mirror. I looked old, tired, stupid. So unbelievably stupid. How many conversations had they had about this? How many times had Sarah coached Emma on keeping the secret? How many times had my daughter wanted to tell me the truth but stayed silent because her mother asked her to? I thought about every moment I'd felt like something was off between us. Every time Emma had seemed uncomfortable when I hugged her. Every time Sarah had changed the subject when Emma brought up family genetics in casual conversation. The signs had been there. I just hadn't wanted to see them. I went back to bed and lay there until dawn, not sleeping, barely breathing, trying to figure out how to survive this. By morning, I'd made a decision. I couldn't confront them. Not yet. Because the moment I did, I'd have to face the reality that my entire life had been a performance, that the two people I loved most in the world had spent years looking at me like a fool. So I did what they'd done. I pretended everything was fine. I made breakfast, kissed Sarah goodbye, told Emma to have a good day at school, went to work and sat at my desk and stared at spreadsheets and felt absolutely nothing. But at lunch, I did something that would change everything. I hired a private investigator. The private investigator's name was Rita Kowalski. She had an office above a dry cleaner in a strip mall 40 minutes from my house. I'd found her online, picked someone far enough away that no one I knew would accidentally see me going in. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back tight, eyes that had seen too much to be surprised by anything. "Let me guess," she said when I sat down. "Cheating spouse?" "Something like that," I said. I told her everything. The diary. Emma. David Chan. 17 years of lies. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. "You want a paternity test," she said when I finished. "I want to know for sure." "You already know." "I need proof." She nodded. "I can't arrange a discrete DNA test. We'll need a sample from you and your daughter. Hair with a root attached. Use toothbrush, something like that. Results take about a week." "And David Chen?" "I'll find him. If he's alive, he's findable." She leaned back in her chair. "But Mr. Donovan, I have to ask, what's your end game here? What happens when you get the proof you're looking for?" I didn't have an answer. She charged me a retainer. I paid in cash. I couldn't risk Sarah seeing a charge on our credit card. The lying had already started. I was becoming just like them. That night, I collected what Rita needed. A few strands of Emma's hair from her hairbrush. My own cheek swab, done in my car during lunch the next day. I dropped everything at Rita's office in a manila envelope and tried not to think about what I was doing. At home, I watched them both like a scientist studying specimens, looking for clues I'd missed. Proof of the deception. Sarah hummed while cooking dinner. She'd always been a good cook. Emma helped set the table, something she rarely did anymore. Were they being extra nice because they felt guilty? Or was I just paranoid now, seeing conspiracy in every normal moment? "Dad, can you help me with my calculus homework?" Emma asked after dinner. "Dad?" The word felt like a knife. "Sure, sweetheart." We sat at the dining room table, her textbook between us. I explained derivatives and she took notes, and for a moment it almost felt normal, almost felt real. Then she looked up at me with those brown eyes, not my blue ones, I realized now, had I ever actually looked? And said, "Thanks for always being patient with me." The guilt in her voice was unmistakable once you knew to listen for it. "Of course," I said. "That's what fathers do." She flinched. Actually flinched. Such a small movement that I wouldn't have noticed before. But now I saw everything. Rita called me 6 days later. "We need to meet." I told Sarah I had a client dinner. She didn't question it. Why would she? I'd never lied to her before. I'd never had a reason to. Rita had a folder waiting when I arrived at her office. She didn't make small talk this time. "The DNA test confirms what you suspected. You're not Emma's biological father. 0% match on paternity markers." Even though had known, hearing it out loud made it real in a way that gutted me. "I found David Chen," she continued. "He's living in San Francisco. Married, 2 kids. Works in tech. He doesn't know about Emma." "What? Your wife never told him?" "According to what I could dig up, they had a brief affair during that Seattle conference 17 years ago. She ended it immediately after. He tried to contact her a few times after, but she shut him down completely. Never mentioned being pregnant. So even David Chen was a victim in this. Just me and him, 2 men who had no idea Sarah had blown up our lives." "There's more," Rita said, and her expression told me I wasn't going to like it. "I did some digging into your wife's phone records, social media, financial records. Mr. Donovan, she's been in contact with David Chen for the past 3 years. The room tilted. "What?" She slid printouts across the desk. Facebook messages, email correspondence, phone records showing calls to a California number. It started right around the time your daughter turned 13. Based on the messages I could access, it looks like Emma found some old photos or documents, confronted your wife, and your wife confessed. Then your wife reached out to David Chan to tell him the truth. They've been in sporadic contact ever since. I read the messages. They were careful, nothing incriminating. But the familiarity was there. The shared secret. The connection. Has he met Emma? Not that I can confirm. But they video called. Multiple times. Your wife facilitated it. My wife. Sarah. The woman who'd slept next to me every night for 18 years. Who'd promised to forsake all others. Who'd stood at our wedding and looked me in the eyes and lied before God and everyone we knew. She'd reconnected my daughter with her real father. Behind my back. While I kept coaching Emma's volleyball team and going to her choir concerts and paying for her SAT prep classes. Mr. Donovan, are you all right? I wasn't. I would never be all right again. I didn't go home that night. I checked into a hotel near the interstate and sat on the bed and stared at the wall until sunrise. The DNA results were in my bag. Read his report. The evidence of my destroyed life, all neatly organized in a manila folder. I called in sick to work. First time in 7 years. Then I called a divorce attorney. Her name was Patricia Chen. No relation to David, she assured me. She listened to my story with the practiced sympathy of someone who'd heard variations of it 1,000 times. You have grounds for a fault divorce based on adultery, even though the affair was 17 years ago, she said. In this state, the statute of limitations is lengthy for marriage fraud cases. The fact that she concealed the paternity and allowed you to assume responsibility for a child that wasn't yours could be considered fraud. What about Emma? What are my rights? Her face softened. Legally, you're her presumed father. You've acted as her parent for 17 years. You're on the birth certificate. You've provided financial and emotional support. A court would likely grant you some visitation rights if you wanted them, but I'm not her father. Biologically, no. But legally and practically, you've been her only father. The court recognizes that. Does she? Patricia didn't answer. We both knew Emma had already chosen. She'd known for 3 years and never told me. She'd video called David Chan while I was downstairs watching TV, thinking everything was fine. I need you to prepare divorce papers, I said. I'll serve Sarah next week. I need a few days to figure out how to do this. Mr. Donovan, please consider counseling before making any final decisions. I know you're hurt. My wife cheated on me, lied about my daughter's paternity for 17 years, and reconnected our daughter with her biological father behind my back while I paid for everything and believed I was building a family. What would counseling fix? She closed her folder. I'll have the papers ready in 3 days. I went home on day 3. Sarah's car was in the driveway. Emma was at school. Perfect timing. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, and her face lit up with relief. Mark. Oh my God, I've been so worried. You haven't been answering your phone. I called your office and they said you were sick. Where have you been? She rushed over to hug me. I stood there like a statue. Mark? I know about Emma, I said. All the color drained from her face. What? I know she's not mine. I know about David Chan. I know you've been in contact with him. I know everything, Sarah. She stumbled backward. How? Does it matter? Mark, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you cheated on me? That you lied for 17 years? That you let me fall in love with a child who wasn't mine while you knew the truth the whole time? She is yours. Sarah's voice cracked. Biology doesn't matter. You're her father in every way that counts. Except I'm not. Emma knows that. You know that. David Chen knows that. I'm the only one who's been living in a fantasy world. Sarah was crying now, mascara running down her face. It was one mistake. One night. I was confused and scared about us, about marriage, and I did something terrible. But I came home to you. I chose you. I've loved you every single day since then. You loved lying to me. I was protecting you. And Emma. What good would it have done to tell you? You loved her from the moment she was born. You are her father. Destroying that over biology seemed cruel. So instead you let me be the fool. You let me stand in front of our families and friends, proud of my daughter who had my wife's eyes and my stubborn streak, while you and Emma both knew it was all garbage. Emma was 13 when she found out. She found an old email. I had to tell her the truth. What was I supposed to do? Tell me, I shouted. The words echoed through our kitchen. You should have told me the second it happened. The second you found out you were pregnant. Any point in the last 17 years. But you didn't. You chose the lie. Both of you did. Sarah sank into a kitchen chair. What are you going to do? I pulled the divorce papers from my bag and dropped them on the table. No, she whispered. Mark, no. Please. We can fix this. Counseling. Whatever you need. Please don't do this. It's already done. You ended this marriage 17 years ago. I'm just making it official. Emma came home from school an hour later and found her mother crying at the kitchen table, divorce papers spread out like a death sentence. Dad? Emma's voice was small. Scared. What's happening? I looked at my daughter. My not daughter. This person I'd loved more than my own life for 16 years. Your mother will explain, I said. I'm staying at a hotel for now. The attorney will be in touch about the logistics. You're leaving? I think we both know I was never really here to begin with. The devastation on her face almost broke me, almost made me stay. But then I remembered 3 years of secrets. 3 years of her looking at me like a stranger. 3 years of knowing the truth while I lived in ignorance. I'm sorry, Emma whispered. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you. Mom said it would hurt you too much. I didn't know what to do. You could have chosen me, I said. Just once. I walked out the door and heard her sobbing before I even reached my car. The papers were filed the next morning. Sarah called 50 times. I didn't answer. Emma sent text after text. I blocked the number. Within a week, everyone knew. Sarah's family. My family. Our friends. The whispers started immediately. The pitying looks. The careful questions. I moved into an apartment across town. 2 bedrooms, one for me, and one that would never be used because Emma had a real father now and it wasn't me. My mother called crying. My sister showed up at my new place with groceries and rage. How could Sarah do this to you? She said. 17 years. Oh, Mark. I'm so sorry. Everyone was sorry. But sorry didn't give me back my daughter. Sorry didn't erase 17 years of lies. At work, people stopped meeting my eyes. I was the guy whose wife had cheated and tricked him into raising another man's kid. I was a cautionary tale. A punchline. I started drinking. Just at night. Just enough to sleep without dreaming about Emma's first steps, her first day of school, every moment that had defined my entire adult life. 3 weeks after I moved out, Sarah called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered by mistake. Mark, please. Emma is falling apart. She's not eating. Not sleeping. Her grades are tanking. She needs you. She has a father. In San Francisco. Maybe he can help. You're her father. You're the one she wants. I'm the one you both lied to for 3 years while pretending everything was fine. I'm the fool who never suspected that his whole life was staged. That's what I am, Sarah. She loves you. I love you. Please come home. I don't have a home. I hung up and blocked that number too. The divorce would take months to finalize. Patricia told me to prepare for it to get ugly. Sarah's attorney was fighting the adultery claim, arguing it was too far in the past to matter. They were claiming I'd abandoned my parental responsibilities by leaving. She's not my child, I told Patricia. The court may not see it that way. You'll likely owe child support until Emma turns 18. I have to pay for the daughter who isn't mine to have a relationship with the father who is while the wife who cheated lives in my house. Family law isn't fair, Mr. Donovan. It's about the child's best interests. Emma's best interests. The phrase made me want to scream. I saw Emma once after I left. She showed up at my apartment on a Saturday morning, looking thin and pale. Can we talk? She asked. I let her in because I was weak. Because some part of me still saw my little girl standing there. I miss you, she said, sitting on my second-hand couch. I know I messed up. I know I should have told you. But Dad, Mark, I was 13 and scared and Mom said it would destroy our family if you found out. She said you'd leave and it would be my fault for existing. I didn't want to lose you. But you did lose me. You lost me 3 years ago when you made the choice to keep the secret. I was a kid. You're 16 now. You've had 3 years to come clean. You didn't. You chose to protect the lie instead of protecting us. There is no us without the lie, Emma said quietly. That's what you don't get. You only loved me because you thought I was yours. The second you found out the truth, you left. So maybe Mom was right. Maybe the liar was kinder. Her words hit like bullets. I raised you, I said. I was there for everything. Every moment. That was real. Was it? Because you walked away pretty fast when you found out that we weren't blood-related. I walked away because you all lied to me for years while I lived like an idiot thinking we were a family. We were a family. Emma was crying now. We still could be if you just forgive us. Forgive you for what? For lying? For letting me make a fool of myself? For video calling your real father while I was downstairs paying the electric bill? Her face crumbled. David's not my real father. He's just biology. You're my dad. You're the one who taught me to ride a bike and helped with homework and came to every game. That's real. Why can't that be enough? Because it's built on a lie. Everything is built on something, Emma whispered. Please, Dad. Please come home. But I couldn't. Because every time I looked at her, I saw Sarah's betrayal. I saw 3 years of secret keeping. I saw a life that had never been mine to begin with. I think you should go, I said. She left without saying goodbye. That was 2 months ago. The divorce is almost final. Sarah gets the house. I pay child support for Emma even though she's not mine because the court says 17 years of implied paternity creates financial responsibility. I work. I drink. I sit in my apartment and think about how one Tuesday I decided to open a purple diary and destroyed everything I thought I knew. People tell me I should forgive them. Move on. That Emma needs me. That Sarah made a mistake but loves me. But they don't understand. They weren't there for 17 years believing in something that was never real. They don't know what it's like to realize every family photo, every holiday, every moment you treasured was based on a fundamental lie. Emma sent me a text yesterday. The first one I've read in weeks. I got accepted to State University. I wish you were proud of me. I wish you still wanted to be my dad. I'm sorry Mom lied. I'm sorry I kept the secret. I'm sorry I exist and ruined your life. I stared at those words until my phone screen went dark. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know a good man would reach out, would choose love over biology, would forgive. But I looked in the mirror this morning and didn't recognize the person staring back at me. 17 years of being someone's father. 3 years of being someone's fool. And now I'm just a cautionary tale about reading diaries and learning truths that can't be unlearned. And the graduates in 4 months. I won't be there. Sarah will sit in the audience with her parents, maybe even David Chandler on a video call, and my daughter will walk across that stage knowing that the man who raised her loved her so much that finding out she wasn't his was enough to make him disappear. Maybe she's right. Maybe I only loved her because I thought she was mine. Or maybe she and Sarah destroyed the man who would have loved her anyway by deciding that 17 years of lies was better than 1 moment of painful truth. I'll never know now. The breakdown happened on a Wednesday. I was at work, sitting through another pointless meeting about quarterly projections, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. Finally, I stepped out into the hallway and answered. Mr. Donovan? A woman's voice. Professional. Careful. This is Principal Morrison from Riverside High. I'm calling about Emma. My stomach dropped. Old instincts die hard. What happened? She collapsed during gym class. We've called an ambulance. Her mother is on the way to General Hospital, but we had you listed as an emergency contact and... I hung up and drove 90 miles an hour to the hospital. Because despite everything, despite the lies and the betrayal and the divorce papers, some part of me still hurt Emma in hospital and became the man who'd stayed up all night when she had croupied age 3. The man who'd rushed her to the ER when she broke her wrist at age 7. The man who'd been her father for 16 years before I found out I wasn't. Sarah was in the waiting room when I arrived, face pale, hands shaking. Mark. She looked shocked to see me. You came. What happened? They don't know yet. She just fainted. They're running tests. She's been so stressed, not eating properly, not sleeping. Her voice broke. This is my fault. All of this is my fault. I sat down 3 chairs away from her, close enough to wait together, far enough to make a point. We didn't speak for an hour. Finally, a doctor came out. Mrs. Donovan? Yes, Sarah said, standing. This is my husband, Emma's father. The light came so easily to her. I didn't correct it. Emma is stable, the doctor said. She fainted due to a combination of dehydration, malnutrition, and severe stress. Her blood pressure was dangerously low. She's awake now and asking for both of you. Sarah looked at me. I looked at the floor. We'll be right in, Sarah told the doctor. When we were alone again, she turned to me. Mark, please. I know you're angry. I know we hurt you. But she's in a hospital bed asking for her father. Be her father. Just for today. Please. I'm not. Yes, you are. Sarah's voice was fierce. DNA doesn't make you a parent. Love does. Being there does. And right now, that girl in there needs you to be what you've always been. Her dad. I followed her to Emma's room because I was too tired to fight anymore. Emma looked so small in the hospital bed. 16 years old but looking about 12. With 4 tubes in her arm and dark circles under her eyes, it made her look haunted. Dad, she whispered when she saw me. You came. Something inside me cracked. I sat in the chair next to her bed. The school called. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to worry anyone. I I haven't been feeling great lately. Sarah stood on the other side of the bed, crying silently. The doctor says you haven't been eating, I said. It's hard to have an appetite when your family falls apart because you exist. Emma's voice was matter-of-fact, clinical, like she was describing someone else's life. I figured out the math, you know. I was conceived at that Seattle conference. Mom came home pregnant with someone else's baby and you never knew. I'm the physical evidence of the worst thing that ever happened to you. Emma, Sarah started. It's true though, isn't it? Emma looked at me. That's why you left. Because every time you looked at me, you saw Mom's affair. You saw proof that your whole life was based on a lie. I should have denied it. Should have said something comforting. Should have been the father I'd been for 16 years. But I was so tired of lying. Yes, I said. Sarah gasped. Emma just nodded, like she'd expected it. I get it, Emma said. I do. But Dad, Mark, whoever you are to me now, I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be the product of an affair. I didn't ask for any of this. And when I found out 3 years ago, I was 13 and terrified, and Mom begged me not to tell you because she said it would destroy everything. So I kept the secret to protect you. To protect us. And now you hate me for it. I don't hate you. You don't love me either. Not anymore. The machines beeped steadily in the silence that followed. I loved you for 16 years, I said finally. Every moment. Every scraped knee and bad dream in school play and volleyball game. That was real. That love was real. Emma repeated. Past tense. The person I loved doesn't exist anymore. That person was my daughter. You're someone else now. Someone who kept a secret that destroyed everything I thought I knew about my life. I was 13. And you're 16 now. 3 years of lying to my face. 3 years of video calling David Chan while I paid for your braces and your phone and your volleyball camp. 3 years of looking at me like I was pathetic for not knowing the truth. Emma's heart monitor started beeping faster. Sarah moved closer to the bed. This isn't the time, Sarah said. Mark, please. No, let him finish, Emma said, her voice getting stronger. Let him tell me everything he's been thinking. Let him explain why I ended up in the hospital because the stress of losing the only father I've ever known made me stop eating. Let him justify walking away from me like I was garbage the second he found out we weren't blood related. I walked away because you lied. I was a child. I made the choice a scared 13-year-old makes when her mother is crying and begging and saying that telling the truth will destroy the family. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have some master plan to hurt you. I just wanted my dad. And I thought if I kept the secret, I could keep you. Tears were streaming down her face now. The heart monitor was going crazy. A nurse rushed in. I need you both to step outside, she said firmly. Emma needs to calm down. Sarah grabbed my arm and pulled me into the hallway. The second we were alone, she turned on me. Are you happy now? Her voice shook with rage. Our daughter is in the hospital because of your selfishness. Because you're so wounded, so focused on your own pain, that you can't see what you're doing to her. I'm not the one who cheated. No, you're just the one abandoning a 16-year-old girl who made a mistake. You're the one who walked away from someone you raised, who you claimed to love unconditionally, the second you found out she wasn't biologically yours. You want to know what that makes you, Mark? It makes you exactly the kind of man who deserves to be lied to. The words hit like a slap. How dare you? How dare I? How dare I? How dare I? You're acting like you're the only victim here. You're not. Emma is a victim. She didn't ask to be conceived from an affair. She didn't ask to carry this burden. She was a scared kid trying to navigate an impossible situation. And instead of being the father you've been for 16 years, instead of showing her that love is more than biology, you proved that every fear she had was right. You proved that your love was conditional all along. She lied to me for 3 years, and you abandoned her in 3 seconds. Sarah was crying now, angry tears that made her mascara run. The second you found out the truth, you packed a bag and left. You didn't try counseling. You didn't try to work through it. You just left. Left me. Left Emma. Left 17 years of being a family like it meant nothing. It meant everything. That's the problem. It meant everything and it was all based on a lie. Then I guess it never really meant anything to you after all. We stood there in the fluorescent hospital hallway, 2 people who'd built a life together watching it burn down to ashes. I loved you, I said quietly. I loved you so much. I would have done anything for you. For Emma. For our family. Past tense again. Sarah whispered. It's all past tense with you now. The doctor came out then, saving us from whatever came next. Emma's stable but she needs rest. We're going to keep her overnight for observation. She's asking not to see either of you right now. I think that's probably for the best." Sarah nodded, wiping her eyes. "Can you at least tell her we love her? I'll pass that along." The doctor left. Sarah looked at me. "Are you going to stay? I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore." "You're supposed to be her father. That's all you've ever been supposed to do." But I guess that was asking too much. She walked away, leaving me standing alone in the hallway. I didn't go home. I didn't go to my apartment either. I drove to Reed's office, the private investigator who helped me discover the truth 3 months ago. "Mr. Donovan," she said, surprised to see me. "Is everything all right? I need you to find David Chun's address. His real address, not just the city." "May I ask why?" "Because I need to meet the man who actually fathered my daughter. I need to see what she chose over me." Rita looked uncomfortable. "Mr. Donovan, I'm not sure that's a good idea. You're clearly emotional. I'm paying you. Get me the address." She did. 3 days later, I was on a plane to San Francisco. David Chan lived in a nice suburb with good schools and a 2-car garage. His house had a basketball hoop in the driveway and a minivan parked out front. The American dream. Built partially on the daughter he didn't know he had until 3 years ago. I sat in my rental car across the street and watched his life. A woman, his wife, presumably, came out with 2 kids. A boy about 10, a girl about 8. They were laughing. Normal. Happy. This was the man Sarah had chosen for one night. This was Emma's biological father. He came home from work at 6:15. Tall, Asian, fit. He hugged his wife. Picked up his kids. The perfect family man. I thought about knocking on his door, introducing myself. "Hi, I'm the guy who raised your daughter while you lived your best life. Want to compare notes?" But I couldn't move. Because looking at David Chen, at his happy family, I realized something terrible. He got to be innocent in this. He got to be the surprised father who didn't know. He got to build a relationship with Emma from a place of truth, while I was the fool who loved her based on a lie. And Emma got to have 2 fathers now. The biological one who represented truth and genetics in the affair that created her, and the legal one who represented obligation and lies in the man who left when he found out she wasn't his. She'd already chosen which one she wanted. I drove back to the airport without ever getting out of the car. The divorce was finalized 2 weeks after Emma got out of the hospital. Sarah got the house, as expected. I paid child support, as required. We divided our assets with the cold efficiency of strangers. Emma didn't come to the final court date. Sarah said she couldn't handle it. I didn't blame her. At the end, the judge looked at me with something like pity. "Mr. Donovan, I want to be clear about something. While you're not Emma's biological father, you've acted as her parent for 16 years. That creates both legal and moral obligations. Child support is required until she's 18. If you wish to maintain a relationship with her, the court would support that. And if I don't?" The courtroom went silent. "Then that's your choice," the judge said carefully. "But I'd encourage you to consider what kind of man you want to be. Biology doesn't make a parent. Love and commitment do." Everyone kept saying that. Like it was simple. Like love could exist in a vacuum separate from truth. But nobody seemed to understand that the love I'd had was based on believing Emma was mine. That Sarah was faithful. That our family was real. Take away the foundation and the whole building collapses. I threw myself into work. Took on extra projects. Stayed late. Volunteered for the assignments no one else wanted. Anything to not think about the life I'd left behind. My coworkers stopped asking about the divorce after a while. I became that guy, the one who'd been cheated on and left his family. People felt sorry for me or judged me or both. I didn't care anymore. My apartment stayed mostly empty. 2 rooms, minimal furniture. I didn't see the point in making it a home. It was just a place to sleep between work shifts. My sister came by once, took one look around, and started crying. "Mark, this isn't living. This is existing. It's what I deserve." For what? For having a wife who made a terrible mistake 17 years ago? For finding out the hard way that your daughter isn't biologically yours? For being stupid enough to believe it was all real? She sat down on my second-hand couch. "Emma calls me sometimes. Did you know that?" I didn't respond. "She asks about you. Wonders if you're eating. If you're okay. She feels guilty, Mark. She thinks you ending up like this is her fault for existing." I never said. "You didn't have to say it. You left. You abandoned a 16-year-old girl during the most stressful time of her life because you found out she wasn't genetically yours. What else is she supposed to think? She lied to me. She was 13. My sister's voice cracked. She was a child put in an impossible position by her mother's mistakes. And instead of being the adult, instead of being the father you'd been for 13 years before that moment, you punished her for it. You made her biology more important than 16 years of loving her. It wasn't just about biology. Yes, it was. That's exactly what it was about. The second you found out she wasn't your blood, you decided she wasn't your daughter anymore. You decided 17 years of being her father could be erased by a DNA test. That's what you did, Mark. And now you're sitting in this empty apartment feeling sorry for yourself while that girl blames herself for destroying your life. I didn't ask for any of this. Neither did Emma. But she's trying to survive it anyway. She's seeing a therapist. She's back in school. She's trying to move forward. While you're, what? Hiding? Giving up? Proving Sarah right about everything? What's that supposed to mean? My sister stood up, grabbed her purse. Sarah told Emma that you'd leave if you ever found out the truth. That's why she made Emma keep the secret. Because she knew that your love was conditional. That it wouldn't survive the truth. And you proved her right. You proved that Sarah was right to lie to you all those years because you couldn't handle the truth like an adult. She left without saying goodbye. I sat in my empty apartment and realized she was right. Sarah had lied because she knew I'd leave. And I left because I couldn't handle the lie. We'd both destroyed Emma in the process. Graduation came on a bright Saturday in June. I knew because my mother sent me the invitation Emma had given her. In case you change your mind, she said on the voicemail. I didn't go. Instead, I sat in my apartment and imagined the ceremony. Emma in her cap and gown. Sarah in the audience, probably crying. Maybe David chat on a video call, their biological father getting to be proud from 800 miles away while avoiding all the messy parts of actually raising a child. My phone buzzed that afternoon. A text from Emma's number. I'd unblocked it weeks ago but hadn't told anyone. There was a photo. Emma in her graduation gown, holding her diploma, standing between Sir and an older couple I didn't recognize. She was smiling but her eyes looked sad. The caption read, I graduated. I wish you were here. I wish a lot of things were different. I'm going to stay in the fall. Mom says you're paying child support so I guess you're still helping even though you hate me. Thank you for that at least. And thank you for the 16 years before everything fell apart. They meant something to me even if they don't to you anymore. I stared at that message for hours. Thank you for 16 years before everything fell apart. Like those years were a separate life. A different person. A father who'd existed before I read a purple diary and learned the truth. That father would have been at graduation. Would have been proud. Would have hugged his daughter and told her he loved her and meant it without qualification. But that father had been built on a lie. And I couldn't be him anymore. 3 months later, I got a call from Patricia, my divorce attorney. Mr. Donovan, I need to inform you that Emma has filed a petition with the court. For what? She's requesting that you be legally removed as her father. She's asking to have David Chan's name added to her birth certificate and yours removed. She's 18 now, so she can make this choice herself. The words didn't make sense at first. She wants me removed? Yes. She sent a letter to the court explaining her reasoning. Would you like me to read it? No. Mr. Donovan. I said no. I hung up. But that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. About Emma filing paperwork to erase me from her life officially. Making legal what I'd made emotional. I called Patricia back at midnight. Read me the letter. She sighed. Are you sure? Read it. Papers shuffled. Then Patricia's voice, reading my daughter's words. To the court, I'm requesting to have Mark Donovan removed as my legal father for the following reasons. First, he has not been part of my life in any meaningful way for over a year. Second, he has made it clear through his actions that he does not consider me his daughter now that he knows we're not biologically related. Third, I have been in contact with my biological father, David Chen, who wishes to acknowledge me legally. Fourth, I think it's unfair to Mark to be legally tied to someone he doesn't want in his life. He left because I'm not his. I think the paperwork should reflect that truth. Mark Donovan was my father for 16 years. I loved him and I think he loved me. But that person doesn't exist anymore. This is me letting both of us move on. Signed, Emma Donovan. I sat in the dark and felt whatever was left of my heart finish breaking. She was setting me free. The daughter I'd abandoned was giving me permission to make it official. Mr. Donovan? Do you want to contest this? No. Are you sure? You have rights here. You were her presumed father for 18 years. She's right. It's time to let go. I signed the papers 2 days later. 6 weeks after that, I received notice that Emma's birth certificate had been officially amended. Mark Donovan was no longer listed as her father. David Chen was. 17 years of fatherhood, erased with a judge's signature. I see Emma once more after that. It's by accident, at a grocery store 3 days before Christmas. She's in the produce section, picking out apples, looking older than 18. Looking like an adult. She sees me before I can escape. Mark. Not Dad. Not anymore. Emma. We stand there in the produce section while holiday music plays overhead and other people shop around us, oblivious to the wreckage between us. How are you? She asks, and she sounds genuinely curious. Fine. You? Good. School's good. I'm majoring in biology, actually. Seemed appropriate. The dark humor isn't lost on me. That's great. David, my dad, he's a geneticist. He's been helping me with my coursework. He's nice. You'd probably like him if you ever met him. I'm glad you have that. Are you though? I don't answer. I signed the papers removing you as my father, Emma says. I thought you should know that I don't regret it. Not because I don't care about you, but because it felt like the honest thing to do. You stopped being my dad the day you read my diary. Everything after that was just making it official. You were the one who lied for 3 years, and you were the one who left in 3 seconds. So I guess we're even. We stand there, 2 people who used to be father and daughter, now just strangers in a grocery store. I forgive you, Emma says suddenly. For leaving. For giving up on me. For making it clear that biology mattered more than 16 years of love. I forgive you because holding on to anger was killing me. But forgiving you doesn't mean I want you back in my life. It just means I'm done letting what you did define me. Emma. I have a dad now. A real one. One who didn't abandon me when things got hard. One who's excited to be my father even though he missed the first 18 years. You could have been a 2. You could have chosen love over hurt. But you didn't. And I've accepted that. She picks up her apples and turns to leave. I did love you, I say to her back. Those 16 years. That was real. She stops but doesn't turn around. Yeah. It was real. Until it wasn't. She walks away and I stand there in the produce section, holding a basket I don't remember picking up, wondering when exactly I became the villain in my own life. It's been 2 years now since I read Emma's diary. 2 years since I destroyed my family by discovering the truth. People tell me I did the right thing. That I had every right to leave. That Sarah's betrayal justified everything. That Emma should have told me sooner. But late at night, when I'm alone in my apartment that still isn't a home, I think about different choices. I think about what would have happened if I'd confronted Sarah immediately.